8.
All right, so on this warm-up, you guys had to simplify, which means we wanted no decimals, no negative exponents. So let's start with the first one, which is actually really easy as long as you remember it. What is anything to the 0 power?
Before I could finish the last one, my computer died.
That's rough, man.
It is rough, dude.
All right,
Oh,
anything
it's
to
one.
the
I
0
thought it was
power.
0.
Oh, it's
No.
1. Yep.
Oh my
It is 1. So it's actually really easy as long as you remember that, because you just have to write down equals 1 and you're done.
That's so. It's
All right.
like 3 times 0. Why
I'll put
is
this
it
one over
1?
here where I got a little more space. Got a question, Jared, or are you stretching?
No, I'm stretching.
Okay. All right. So we also want to get rid of negative exponents. So what we need to do is if we don't have a fraction, I need to make it a fraction first. So I'm going to go 1 on the bottom like that. And then anything that has the negative exponent flips sides. So I'm going to take this 4 to the negative 5, and I'm going to flip it to the bottom. And when it flips to the bottom, the negative goes away. So I'm going to have this 4 to the 5 down there. Well, I have 1 times 4 to the 5, but if I do 1 times, does anything change?
No.
No. So I'm not even going to write it usually. I usually won't even write that. But I have one last thing. I have that blank on top of the fraction, right? What do I need to do? Because I can't have a blank. What do I got to fill it in with?
1.
1.
Alright, now I get it.
Okay, now I remember.
Yep.
I don't remember.
Oh, wow.
Alright, this one, let me just write it a little bigger. Alright, so on this one, remember, everything with a negative flips. It doesn't matter what has the negative, if it's got a negative, it flips. So I have 3 to the negative 3, that's going to flip to the bottom. I have x to the negative 2, this is actually going to flip to the top. It's basically like the whole thing is just flipping around.
Aw, man.
So, this 3 to the negative 3, it flipped to the bottom, and the negative went away. X to the negative 2 flipped to the top, and the negative went away. So I have x squared over 3 to the 3rd. Yes?
I got them all wrong.
Then do them again. I'll give you time.
No.
So if you're not done with your warm-up, I'll let you redo it real quick. I'll give you 2 minutes to retype them in or to finish them off if you're not done. You had a question, Susie, or are you just stretching?
Why are you looking at me instead of him when you're talking?
Because you were staring
So I'll
at
give
me.
you about a
Look at me.
minute and a half left. Finish off your warm-up, and then we'll get started.
Like, I saw you look at me, so I was looking at you, and I started looking
Done.
at
Oh no, my
William.
cat.
He's off.
I'm just gonna clown.
Look at him again. Look at him again.
William.
You're not even looking at me, dude. You're not even close to looking at me.
Robert, Sam.
You start looking at me.
Sit down, bro.
What? How am I still looking at him?
Your eyes get your
I
just looked at her.
If it was that or something that had a salt sugar on it, too.
No.
God.
No. No. God, no. Jesus
Take her around
Christ.
and sprinkle it on.
Hey, don't use the Lord thing again. You believe in that guy?
Oh my God. Are you doing that? Oh my God, stop.
Alright.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, you know what's gross?
Because you're looking
So
at
if
me.
you're not done with your edit, finish it off, but we're going to keep going.
They'd give us a
Okay.
and they never washed it.
So, we will be doing simplifying like this a little bit today, but what we're going to be doing is multiplying. We're going to be multiplying things with exponents together.
Shut up.
Okay, so we're going to do 3 to the 3rd times 3 squared. So when we're going to multiply with our exponents together, I'm actually going to do this the long way first, and then we'll do it I'll show you the shortcut. So I have 3 to the 3rd times 3 squared, right? If I have 3 to the 3rd, how many 3's is that total?
3.
3 of them, right? 3 to the 3rd is really 1, 2,
I got something
3.
right.
If I have 3 squared, how many 3's is that total?
2.
3.
2 of them, right? How many 3's do I have here?
3.
5. 3 squared, or excuse me, 3 to the 3rd times 3 squared is 3 to the 5. So you could write these out the long way and then count them up, but let's use our shortcut, which says when you're going to multiply things with the same base, remember base is this big number, we're just going to add the exponents together. So 3 to the 3rd times 3 squared is the same thing as 3 to the 3 plus 2, which is 3 to the 5th. I'm going to let you leave it like this. Don't worry about that part.
3 to the 3 plus 10.
Mhm.
3.
Which is just 3 to the 5th. So you could write it out the long ways and just count them up, but that's a lot of work, so let's use the shortcut, which says, as long as you have the same number, this big number has to be the same for this to work. As long as you have that, you just add the exponents together. You okay, Robert? Calm down, man.
Oh,
I told you to walk inside.
So, we're going to look at 2 squared times 2 to the 3rd. So these 2's are the same, right? These big 2's here are the same. I need that in order to do this. If these aren't the same, we'd have to just go not possible, or no solution, or whatever. So these are the same, so what I'm going to do is just add these 2 exponents together. I'm going to have 2 to the 2 plus 3 is 5. And that's it, we're done.
And then you
I'm
get
not going to
25.
make you go farther from there.
Right?
What?
We get 25. Okay.
2 to the 5th is not 35.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That's it. Yeah.
Hold on. Is it 2 times 2 times 2? Oh, hold on.
5 times.
25.
Oh my god, you know what shit? Oh,
You know, 2 to the 5th is 25.
hold on.
I believe it is, let's see,
Hold on.
4, and then 8,
Hold on.
and then 16, and I think it's either 32 or
32. Yeah, okay, sorry, I messed up. Don't.
2 to the 5th is 35.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Robert.
I
That's
just-
good thinking.
I just woke up.
So, you could go that 4, or I will let you leave your answer like this. You don't need to do 25.
Dude, this is easy.
Okay. Alright, so this next one, real quick.
Yeah,
It's
fine,
a
fine.
So I have 5 to the 1 times 5 to the 3. They're both 5s, right? So I'm going to take the exponents and I'm going to add them together. So 5 to the 1 plus 3 is 4.
Oh, bro.
And
I
that's
see
it.
what I
You don't
did.
need to go farther. Alright, on your own, I want you to do this one on the right. X to the 3rd times x to the 1. So I want you to multiply those together and get it down to just x to something.
So, shut up. I saw 2 and 5 and I was going to say 32, but I went into... I'm not even going to go into what I was going to say. I meant to say something else, and then I said 25 because I saw 2 and a 5 because I was staring at it.
This is this next one.
Bro,
Oh my god.
I'm triggered. 4.
Oh my gosh. Did you know that Ezra can.
Shut up. Hey.
Oh.
She's doing like cross-eyed.
I don't know if creepy is the right word.
No. I just
Disturbing maybe, but
I
creepy
might-
no.
I might have to work the night shift at Walmart as a night stalker. Just walk around like this.
Yeah, when you say Night Stalker, I think X-Men. So.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that that
it's
one
not
blue
that,
lady?
It's not that amazing.
No.
All I do is I have to like stack things back there.
Oh, Nightcrawler?
Whatever.
Have you
Not at
really?
Walmart. Not at Walmart.
bag of
Well, I worked at Walmart TC.
Hot Cheetos.
Yeah,
I worked at
big
Kmart
bag.
too.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my
You want
God,
to take Kmart?
DC, their Walmart is so weird.
Oh!
I know.
Is that
It's
more
like
important than
really
hot
weird.
Cheetos?
It's not like Walmart. It's different.
Hey.
The Walmart
Like their
distributor.
bathroom
My
is
bag
so
did.
huge.
It goes to my bag.
Hey, guys.
Did you know the one in like Central Washington?
Different.
I never thought I'd
Robert, can
Alright.
you just please
Like,
stop
we
being
got our
used
red
to?
looking one, and theirs is like.
Okay,
bathroom
so we're gonna keep
and
going.
it's
We actually could be done with this in about 15 minutes or so. But hey, we're turn off your YouTube. Straighten, Richie. Turn off YouTube.
Switch on!
Okay. So on this one, it's a little different. I have 5 c to the 4 times c to the 6. I have just this regular number 5 out here, right?
Yeah. So it's not possible.
So it is possible. So if there are regular numbers, because there's no exponent on this 5. There's an exponent on this c, but there's no exponent on this 5. When you have regular numbers, you just multiply them together like normal. So what number is in front of this c to 6, even though we're not seeing it?
1.
1, right? I'm going to go 5 times 1, which is 5.
Oh.
So multiply regular numbers by themselves together. There's no exponents on these, so I'm just going to go 5 times 1 is 5. And then I'm going to put together things with exponents. So I have C4 and C6, right?
C4, why do you have C4?
I add them together to
5
get
to the 10.
C10.
Oh, C to the 10.
C10. Be careful. Okay? So multiply regular numbers together, and then put together the same things with exponents.
Is that 5 to the 10?
That's 5c to the 10.
Oh, I thought it was.
Well, if I'm going to write it so it looks a little nicer, 5c10.
You know what's
510.
crazy? When I'm a junior, Lex is gonna be a freshman. That's
Wow.
gonna be some crazy stuff.
All right, let's do number 16 here. So I have this 4 out in front, and I have a 2 out in front, right? These are just regular numbers. We're going to multiply them together and go 4 times 2, which is 8. And I can put t's together, because I have t to the negative 5 and t to the negative 3. So I'm going to add these together. And I'm going to get t to the, I have negative 5 plus negative 3. So remember, we keep these negatives here. Negative 5 plus negative 3 is negative 8. So I have 8t to the negative 8. But what do we do in our warm-up when we have negative exponents? How do we get rid of that negative? What do we do?
Flip them.
We flipped it, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I don't have any negative exponents in my final answer. So what I'm going to have to do now is take this t to the negative 8 and I got to flip it to the bottom.
What's the T for me?
So the 8 is going to stay on top. It didn't change because this 8 doesn't have an exponent. Only this t does, and it's the only one with the negative exponent. So it's going to flip to the bottom. The negative's going to go away. And I have this 1 on the bottom. It's a 1 times, but that doesn't actually change anything, so I'm not going to write it down. If you want to write down the 1 times down there, that's fine. It's just more work. So my final answer is 8 over t to the 8. So if you got this part right here in the purple, you wouldn't be wrong, you wouldn't be 100% correct.
What are you doing?
Avoidance.
I just look over and
Okay, let's try a couple more. So let's look at this first one. I have 3x squared
It's like a joke.
times negative 3x to the negative 5 times 4x to the negative 2. On this one, I've got more than 2 things, right? But it works the same way. So I have a 3 out in front. I have a negative 3 out in front. I have a 4 out in front. These are all regular numbers, right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to multiply all 3 of these together.
And it's 36.
3 times negative 3 times 4,
Equals
which
36.
is negative 36. Negative.
Negative.
Don't forget, this middle number right here is a negative 3. So I multiply all 3 of them together, negative 36. And just plug them into Desmos. 3 times negative 3 times 4, like that. You get negative 36. Okay? And then I'm going to look, I have x's here, right? But there's 3 of them, but that's fine. It doesn't matter if I have more than 1. So I'm going to put all 3 of these together. Because they're all x's. So I'm going to have a 2 plus negative 5 plus negative 2.
Equals negative 5.
Which is negative 5, right? So I have negative 36 and then x to the negative 5. And we're not quite done because I got a negative 5. I need to get rid of that doing the flip thingy. So I go over 1. I take the x. Because remember, even though this is a negative 36, right? That doesn't make it change. The negative on the exponent makes it change. So the x is going to flip to the bottom. Negative 36 stays up top. X to the negative 5 flips to the bottom, and the negative goes away. And you're done.
Well, you just takes too long.
Really? After all the graphing ones we did like 3 weeks ago, you think
Those
this
are
takes too
cheesy.
long? No, man. These are easier.
Wow, I like that.
He hit me,
You hate me?
dude. He sent me on the cheek.
Who did?
Yeah.
Look at it.
Alright,
No, no.
let's do a couple more, then you guys will do a couple, then we're done.
People love training?
Okay, so on part B here, I've got a 2 out in front, I got a 9 out in front, I got a 3 out in front. These are regular numbers, we're going to multiply them together like regular numbers. So 2 times 9 times 3,
Oh.
You smile.
which is 54. We're going to go 2 times 9 times 3.
So you just add the variables.
But we got to be careful on this one. Okay, so let's go through it, take it a piece at a time, right? So I got 54. But let's look in here. I have an A,
Ew.
I have a B4, and then I have an A squared. What did we say? Got to think back to that like second slide. Can I put together this A and this B?
No.
No. I can only put this A with this A together. So I'm not going to add all three. I'm just going to add these two together.
What are you laughing
And
at?
Allison, what exponent does this A have right here?
What are you
One.
laughing at?
I was just sneezing and I turned around and she's freaking red.
She's red like a tomato.
It's fine. Just turn around, leave her alone.
You're probably talking crap about me. That's why.
For you. I'm the only one back here. Okay. Got a question, Jared?
So the final answer would be 54 squared times B4.
Close. 54A. So, okay, I gotta put A's together, right?
Yeah.
There's a 1 on this A. There's a 2 on this A. So I add them together to get A3. And then this B4, there's no other B's, right? So I can't forget about them. I have to put them back here. And he's just gonna go back there as B4.
Wait,
Is that our answer?
there's no.
That's it?
Yes.
So if there's no number, it's a 1. Because this is a B. We can't put A, yep. The big parts have to be the same. I can't put an A and a B together. So I actually think I'm gonna do part C next.
Oh my god, I'm such a pro. I got a mosquito bite. I didn't know it was there until it was distracting.
Alright, let's actually skip down here to part B on the bottom.
Stop scratching.
Okay, Dylan, are you?
Put tape over it so you don't scratch it. Put tape
Let's
over it.
turn around.
I thought you put an X on it.
Focus.
Ow.
Okay,
Ow.
so we're gonna do part B together. This one is kind of like the little part B down here. It's kind of like the capital B we did before. So I have these numbers in front, right? I gotta multiply them together. I gotta go -4 times 7 times 2. Those are just regular numbers. Which is going to be, let's see, -4 times 7 times 2 is going to be -56. Okay? Then I gotta keep going through. I have a C3, then I have a D2, and then I have a C -2. Can I put the C and the D together? No. I can only put this C, the C3, with this C to the -2. They've got to be the same. So I'm going to do 3 plus -2, which is 1. So C1. And then I've just got this D squared left over, right? I can't forget about them, so I just have to write them down here at the end. D squared. Remember, you can only put things that have the same base together, that big number, or the variable, or whatever. That has to be the same. C has to go with C, D has to go with D, and so on.
I'm fine. I don't know about Susie though. She's so picky.
Shut up.
Alright, your guys' turn. I want you to do part C in the box right there. On your own, part C in the box. Question, Greg?
Yeah, can you run it by me? If there's a no number right next to the, what do you think, on it? This one.
So 1 times 1 times 12.
I'm done.
In class.
What's the most American thing in the world?
Memes. Hot dogs.
Mommy.
I don't get the exit ticket.
Pigs.
What was that, Richie?
Wait,
The Knicks.
Good. So let's look at that's a J squared, right? And then a J on the end. What exponent does that J on the end have? So we add them together. 2 plus 1
Hey.
equals 3. So it'll be J3.
When you point out one person's at 12, they're
Okay.
insecure.
And then I have a
Well,
K.
the reason I add one because it's equal out and put the one.
Hold up.
Because it says it's not negative.
Mm-hmm. Because that's a K -2, right? We can't put K with J together. So we're going to have a K -2 right
I
there.
got one.
But we don't want negative exponents, right? So what do I have to do to get rid of that -2? Okay.
You gave it to me.
So now we got to flip
I
it.
know.
So it's going to flip, let's see, do
You said
the
it as I was
fraction
saying.
bar and 1 on the bottom now.
What do you have in your bag?
So,
I meant
But then
-2. I
don't
meant -2.
Don't worry, then you have to do the
Oh, yeah.
fraction.
Perfect. And because it flipped down
I
there,
have a
it's
pro.
gone up here.
Of course it
Oh,
does.
no.
So just scratch that or whatever. There you go.
Hey.
Like that.
Look out.
And I'm done. I'm just waiting for you.
I tried to throw this.
Alright, so let's do part 2 together. I'll just kind of cut it off over here.
Oh, you go.
A little bit.
Let's start us off, Will.
Make the pencil appear.
What's the first thing I need to do, Will?
Which one?
On C.
CC.
Oh, CC.
Times J to J to K to
JK.
Tied. Okay, what are we tied with?
All three of them.
And like what part of all three of them? What's the first thing we gotta do?
That times the numbers.
Okay. And what are the numbers in front of J squared and K negative 2? 1, right? So when I do 1 times 1 times 12, what do we get?
12.
Okay. I got 12 for that first part. For the second part, what do I need to do, Susie? Because you were laughing earlier. It annoyed me.
Yeah, that's
You're next, Allie, so...
Yeah.
I can say the whole answer right now.
Well, I'm asking Susie for the next part. What do I gotta do next?
Oh, we do the 1, the 1, and the 12.
We already did that. We got 12. What do I do after that?
You do the numbers on top.
Which ones?
2 and 1.
Because it's a J2 here, and that's a J1 right there. I gotta put both of those together, right? So you get a J to the third, or J3. Alright, what do I gotta do next, Allison?
Next, you put K to the negative 2.
Yep.
But you don't stop there because you can't have negative 2 to
Yep.
a fraction.
Yep.
Which, your flip, would be 12J to the third under K
Over.
to the second.
Over.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, I did get that right.
Whatever.
Okay, so we have this K to the negative 2, right? It's left over. I can't put it with anything, so I write it down. But I'm not quite done because I don't want a negative exponent. So to get rid of it, I gotta flip it to the bottom. And when I flip it to the bottom, let's see, the 12 and the J3 stay on top. The K2 flips to the bottom and changes to a positive.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
your final answer.
Yeah.
Good.
Alright, let's go.
Good. All
I
right.
should have like a Zumba class here.
Why?
That'd be so much fun.
Bro, what?
No.
We can all dance. That'd be so interesting. to
All right.
watch.
So we're gonna go to your exit ticket, but because this is exactly the same as the one we just did, we're gonna skip it,
Bulky,
and I'm gonna make up one
I
real
go
quick.
restroom.
Let's go.
Wait, I need to go to the bathroom.
2x3 times 4x
I need $1.
Jesus.
2
Can I go restroom?
No.
times
Can I go to the bathroom,
3y. Whoever finishes their exit ticket first.
Already did.
No, I made a new one. I made a new one.
What the heck?
Because it was exactly the same as the one we just did.
Yeah, but they don't know. Yeah, but they don't know the kilo of trick that you showed me.
Alright, so do this new exit ticket problem on here. After that, I will put your homework on Google Classroom, and then you have the rest of class to work on it.